The following podcast is recorded and produced by Emerge, a media creators co-op.
Bitcoin didn't cause a bunch of bankers to take too much leverage. Bitcoin didn't cause bankers to debase savers and to destroy the purchasing power of the currency, to bail out the bankers who are fractionally reserve lending and taking too much leverage. Okay? Bitcoin didn't kick entire sovereign nations off of an international payment system. Okay, so we have to keep that in mind, right? If you're an architect of a financial system, then it's your responsibility to not motivate people to leave that financial system, which means don't debase them. Don't continue bailing out the people who are making the mistakes. Don't kick entire sovereign nations off this thing. Like, it's your responsibility to not do that if you want to maintain like the dominant financial information network. Okay, don't blame Bitcoin for your, I almost said something bad. I'll just leave it at that, okay? So, and by the way, if this is more than just a coin, right? If this is bit power, if we have no kidding, again, this is theory, I could be crazy. I'm relying on other people to evaluate. That's how computer science works, computer theory works. If we have no kidding figured out a way to project power in from through cyberspace, a new physical power projection protocol that will transform cybersecurity and national security, then blaming Bitcoin to protect your failing hegemony, let's call it for what it is, okay, that's not going to help you. It's still going to break down. Like, your financial system is still going to collapse as long as you keep on doing the things that I just said, okay? What you would actually be doing is you would be forfeiting our access as a nation to this protocol, to bit power. Okay, you would be denying us access to this feature. And that would be a strategic nightmare.
Welcome to the Defion Productions podcast. I'm your host, the hardest working nobody in Bitcoin, Don. This is episode 127. We just had the pleasure of watching Mr. Jason Lowery discussing some things in regards to his thoughts on Bitcoin. Blaming Bitcoin to protect your failing hegemony is not going to help you. Your financial system is going to collapse. Bitcoin didn't cause a bunch of bankers to debase savers and to destroy the purchasing power of currency. Bitcoin is a controlled fiat system that's a pure Ponzi scheme and illusion. Wake the fuck up. That's the first comment. Lowery's message is clear. Don't kill the messenger. Bitcoin is the solution, not the cause of currency debasement. A failing system that rejects new tech is destined for collapse. The more I learn about Bitcoin, the more I wonder if Satoshi was really just the Illuminati banking bloodlines front-running the future global financial system. So many different thoughts, many different sides of the aisle people are falling on in regards to Lowery here. Another person I'm going to hopefully get at least one person a life-changing favor here and ask what you imagine the price of BTC will be in 10 years, now 20, now 30, not tomorrow, not in a year, not in a decade, in 2 decades. You'll wish you got in at 80,000. So a lot of conflicting thoughts on Jason Lowery's stance on where he sees Bitcoin. Let's start with the charts because we actually have good news this week as opposed to the last couple of weeks where we've been stuck in this range. Bitcoin is up almost 9% since we filmed last week, sitting at 74,634. In the last 24 hours, it's up 3.3%. Even Ethereum is up, double Bitcoin in the last 7 days at 2,300, up almost 10% in the last 24 hours. The total market cap of crypto, let's do a refresh just to make sure it's correct, 2.56 trillion. Fear and greed all the way up to 45 at neutral, which is kind of crazy. So we've been stuck in the mud at around 14 or 15, at least for the last 3 weeks to a month. We have the Iran conflict going on. We're not going to call it a war. We're going to call it a conflict, I guess, because we can't call it a war because we didn't go to Congress to get, the war enacted where we have war powers and all that, legal stuff. So it's a conflict, even though people are, at war. It's just tomato at this point. But it has affected gas prices here in the United States. That's for damn sure. The United States national average right now is sitting at $3.71, where we sit currently in this great state of New York. And I say that with all sense of not meaning it. We are at $3.61. California is at $5.52. Wow. Alaska, $4.16. Some of these states in the Midwest are $3.14 in Kansas, $3.24 in Arkansas. Illinois is at $3.70. A lot of the blue states are pretty high. Texas $3.40, Louisiana $3.38, Florida $3.72. Gas is up. Oil prices currently, let's refresh, $93.21 a barrel. In the last 5 days, look at the pricing. It's been all over the place. From a low of, where was that? Jesus, $80 on Tuesday, March 10th, all the way up to almost $100 a couple of days ago, sitting at 93 currently. Gold, just a shade over 5,000 an ounce right now. I believe silver was hovering around 80. Yep, $80.93 an ounce. So gold and silver are down since the war started. The S&P down since the war started. Oil obviously up since the war started, and Bitcoin up since the war started. So Bitcoin seems to be holding up while other assets like gold and silver, the traditional hedges in these kind of wartime conflicts, are down. Obviously, Bitcoin is still down from its all-time high, around 45%. But since the start of action in Iran, everything else has gone down, and Bitcoin has actually performed well. So that's very, very telling. I don't know if you've been paying attention at all, Rich, to any of that, but what are your thoughts, if you have any, on that little tidbit?
I tend to look at. Lately, I've been looking. I every day I always look at the price of Bitcoin just out of curiosity. But then I've been looking at gold and silver just to kind of pay attention to what's going on in the stock market. But also been looking at oil and then gas and just kind of see and again, we talked a lot about last week how, because at one point on Sunday night, like it just seems like we do these weird things on Friday when the market's closed, like to so we don't go too high. And then, because at one point before the U.S. markets opened, it was over 100 again, and then it dropped right back down because the president said that all these other countries were going to help with the strait, which none of them are.
I wonder why. I mean, when you take a hardline stance on tariffs and being the big bully in the neighborhood, when you look for help, it's not surprising that nobody comes to you. I don't understand why people don't understand that. I don't get it. But
the other thing is the vice president said that the gas prices were still high because of Biden. I don't even want to know what his rationale is. I just and it's not even in line with what the rest of the people are saying, that this is the thing that everybody's saying, and all those talking heads are all saying short-term pain for short-term gain. Like they were all saying literally the exact same thing all weekend about gas. Because they don't know what else to say, because they didn't expect this to happen, which is ridiculous because everybody else said it was going to happen. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was following. I found an interesting article on Yahoo Finance about economic people were talking about what the actual American debt is, that it's closer to 100 trillion, not 38. We say it's 38, but if you really did the financial bookkeeping the way private organizations have to do it, that our debt would be closer to 100.
Where did you read that?
Yahoo Finance. The
really?
Article was by where was the article? I have it open here. Yeah, it was on it was interesting, and I can't find the Nick Lichtenberg was the author of the article, and he was just saying is if you think about the way, according to Ken Smathers, faculty director of Penn Warhol Budget Model.
Okay, I got it. I have it up. Yeah, I have it up.
So,
I found
I
it.
don't know. I was wondering what you thought about
I
this.
found it. If you
You're
want
better at understanding this
yeah,
than I am.
yeah. Let's. This is the first time I'm reading this. I didn't know that this was out there, but I'm glad you brought it to my attention. The national debt isn't 39 trillion. One economist says it's actually 100 trillion. The U.S. national debt is nearly 39 trillion. One of our country's top fiscal economists says the real number is closer to 100, and Washington's own accounting rules are designed to hide it. Not surprising. As this went to press, the national debt clock stood at 38.92 trillion. According to Kent Smetters, faculty director at Penn Wharton and one of the country's most respected financial economists, that 39 trillion number is a polite fiction. The real tab, he argues, is closer to 100. It has to do with the accounting distinction between explicit obligations, legally binding debts the government must repay, and implicit pay-as-you-go obligations, expected future spending commitments that carry moral or political but not legal force. What we call implicit obligations are twice the size of explicit obligations, Smithers told Fortune in a recent interview, referring to the unfunded liabilities buried inside programs like Social Security and Medicare. If the U.S. government were required to report its finances under the same accounting rules as publicly traded corporations, Smithers pointed out that the debt-to-GDP ratio wouldn't be the current level of 100%, which is bad enough. We'd be reporting debt-to-GDP ratios closer to 300%. Holy cow. I guess that makes sense if it's 3x, 39 to 100, right? Yep. The gap between those two numbers, he warned, is not a rounding error, is the deliberate product of federal accounting standards designed to keep the full picture hidden from the public. A shell game, not a Ponzi scheme. I beg to differ with that, but I'll read on. Smetters is careful about the language he uses. Critics of Social Security have long compared the pay-as-you-go structure to a Ponzi scheme, in which early investors are paid with money from later ones. Smetters rejects that framing. It's not a Ponzi scheme, Smetters said. It's a shell game, insisting that the distinction matters. A Ponzi scheme implies fraud, which is the U.S. dollar. But Social Security never promised a higher return than market returns. It's more of a shell game because Social Security and entitlement reforms can be moved obligations off the book. I guess I kind of agree with where he's going with this. From explicit treasury obligations to implicit pay-as-you-go liabilities, because federal budget rules do not account for implicit liabilities. In 2001, Treasury Secretary Paul O'Neill attempted to explicitly book the pay-as-you-go liabilities, but several events later that year, including 9/11 attacks and the Enron meltdown, shifted the focus more towards immediate challenges. The newer accounting framework was outlined in a 2003 book published by the American Enterprise Institute. The United States is rapidly accelerating toward a definitive tipping point in financial history, wrote in response to the 10-year outlook from the Congressional Budget Office. The nonpartisan budget watchdog issued a stark assessment. The current trajectory of borrowing, which is running at double the 50-year historical average, is simply mathematically unsustainable. So going further down, the driving force behind the surge and structural mismatch between what the government spends and what it collects. We've known that. Spending is projected to go from 23.1% of GDP in 2025, 24.4% by 2036. Yeah, I mean, and then the Treasury, Social Security's trust fund is nearly insolvent, and the borrowing binge that may follow will rip through debt markets, economists warn. So basically, he's saying that we're playing a shell game, and it's not necessarily a Ponzi scheme, where a Ponzi scheme would be outright fraud. So, I mean, it's kind of semantics. I mean, you're still paying people with money that you're getting from current work. I mean, and they know, they've identified that there's going to be a shortfall. So, like, how is that not a Ponzi scheme? You're paying current people. You're paying that you're going to continue to pay people with money that you're getting from the current workforce, completely acknowledging that at some point in time, you're not going to give people back what they've already been paying.
Right.
I guess in a Ponzi scheme, at some point the music stops and nobody gets paid. And in that respect, it's more of a shell game because people will still get something. They just won't get everything. So that's why it's not a Ponzi scheme, I guess.
I think a Ponzi scheme implies, like he said, that they're being pretty forthcoming about the state of Social Security,
where a Ponzi scheme is completely
where it's you don't know until it's too late.
until the music stops.
Right.
Basically, you're being promised returns that aren't going to be fulfilled. Where the U.S. government is telling you, if you go into the U.S. government's Social Security website, it'll tell you in blue writing that 80% of the number that you're seeing is probably what you can expect to get in the beyond the year 2036 if they don't fix the budget shortfall. So they're kind of just telling you where a Ponzi scheme doesn't. So I think that's where I kind of agree, but I think it's kind of semantics.
I thought you'd like that article. It was an interesting,
Yeah, I mean, the government is definitely doing nefarious accounting. It's such a big number now, 39 trillion. Like, how do you know what they are accounting for, what they're not accounting? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's such an enormous number. Let me do this.
Just like we talk about all the time, like they're constantly, I don't care who the president is, they're constantly adjusting the job numbers, the unemployment numbers, the GDP. Like they announce something and then they always put the plan that they're going to adjust it 3 months later anyway. They, whether if it's bad and they make it higher, or if it's good and they make it lower. Like they always have. There always seems to be some. So why wouldn't they lie about the debt? Like they lie about everything else, because it's all kinds of fancy accounting that they do, and it's probably like, it's they're allowed to count it that way because they write policy, so they can report it however they want. Now we don't report anything, which is kind of funny. So.
So, like, to get an idea of like how much a trillion is, like a trillion seconds, a million seconds is 11 and a half days. So if you had $1 million and you counted $1 every second, it'd take you 11 and a half days to count it. A trillion would take you 31,700 years times 39. That's how much it is. That's just so fascinating. Like we're spiraling to numbers that are just like not fathomable. Like you can't fathom 39 times 31,700. Like it's just getting just ridiculous at this point.
Things that we're spending money on, wars that, I mean, the amount of money we spend in that first week, now first 2 weeks, is just staggering. Like it's just like I can't even remember what they compared it to. Like there were so many things that they compare it to that you have to add all these things up to even get close to. It was like every war and like everything we've ever built. It was just like ridiculous amount of things that you would have to add up. I remember what I was like maybe like 15, 20 years ago. Everybody would talk about the national debt, and they always would say, well, if we made all these countries pay back everything that we gave them, we wouldn't have a national debt. And then somebody, I remember at the time, had figured out, this was again 15 years ago, and the debt was probably like 18 or something, maybe under 10. And it was like that, all the debt that if every country paid back all this stuff, supposedly we've invested in Japan and rebuilding after World War II and all these things that we've done. NATO and all that stuff. If you took all that money back, it's not even remotely close to what
Today, I believe, is day 16 of this conflict, and I was reading some stuff in regards to weapons shortages. So I just did a quick search. Israel is facing critical shortages of long-range interceptors, and U.S. stockpiles of air defense systems are under severe strain after just 2 weeks of the conflict with Iran. The high-intensity war, which is burning billions in munitions, has raised concerns that the U.S.-Israeli coalition could face diminished defense capabilities if the war becomes a prolonged war of attrition. Interceptor depletion. Israel has reported low stocks. That's their Iron Dome, right? That yeah. Iron Dome is the defense system.
The Iron Dome, right?
So
they're going to run out. There's no doubt they're going to run.
The next line says high burn rate. The war has consumed roughly $5.6 billion in weaponry in the first 2 days of the campaign, putting pressure on U.S. supply chains. The U.S. lacks the manufacturing capacity to quickly replace these specialized complex defense systems, which are being used faster than they can be produced. Right. I think like Iran, it seemed like weird, like the first couple of days, like they were just like sending off all these drones, sending off all these rockets. And you're like, they know that they're going to get shot down, but it was kind of like they knew they were going to get shot down. They were depleting their defense system. So then later on, when they send another wave, they know they're not going to be able to shoot them all down. It again, I'm not as well versed in the political stuff to speak completely knowledgeably on this.
No, that was.
But it
so,
seems
because like the thing is, normally it's like, like let's compare it to Ukraine. So one of the things that Ukraine was under Biden was, we were giving weapons to Ukraine, but that was really so the industrial military complex could then sell the United States new things. Because we're giving her it's like your wife wants to buy a new pair of shoes, so she donates the old shoes to charity, but now she needs new shoes, so she gets to buy a new pair of shoes because she gave the old pair to charity. And that's essentially but this is different. This is significantly worse because like you just said it, they can't. Israel, it doesn't matter, like these companies can't keep up, and it's not like they were prepared for this. So
the money exists. The thing is, the money exists,
right?
With the debt-based Ponzi scheme, like they can just print money the money's not the problem.
Right.
It's the speed and the capabilities.
You can't make this stuff that quick, and that's the thing. If this war had been planned, if this conflict had been, this invasion of Iran had been planned better, then you could have filled up your oil supply, which the United States didn't do. It's still only about half of where it's supposed to be. And then also you could have said, we better ramp up production. We better move some things. So one of the things they realized too is they've pulled some weapons, some systems out of, I think, South Korea, and also some things that were in place that protect Taiwan. Like right now, there was one whole thing I saw, and I don't know how accurate it was, but like we're getting to a point where like China could just walk into Taiwan and could just take Taiwan because we're not going to be able to protect Taiwan anymore. Like China will end up with Taiwan without a refinery shot. It'll just happen because we're going to be so spread so thin that they'll just walk right in and we'll just say, yeah, take them, because we won't be able to fight them. There won't be a way to even protect them.
I saw this clip. I'm going to play it. It's 3 minutes and 40 seconds long. Marco Rubio explaining why we attacked, and I hadn't seen it. It's from like right after we attacked. I'm going to play it. I don't know if you've seen it, but after I play it, I want to talk about it because I think I didn't see it until yesterday, but after seeing it, I have some problems with our explanation that I didn't realize was the like I said, I'm not super well versed in the political stuff, but when this was brought to my attention, it was definitely problematic. So let me play it.
The United States conducted this operation with a fair goal in mind. I haven't got a chance to see a lot of reporting. I don't understand what the confusion is. Let me explain it to you, and I'll do it once again as clearly as possible. Perhaps you'll report it that way. The United States is conducting an operation to eliminate the threat of Iran's short-range ballistic missiles and the threat posed by their Navy, particularly to naval assets. That is what it is focused on doing right now, and it's doing quite successfully. I'll leave it to the Pentagon and the Department of War to discuss the tactics behind that and the progress that's being made. That is the clear objective of this mission. The second question that's been asked is, why now? Well, there's two reasons why now. The first is it was abundantly clear that if Iran came under attack by anyone, the United States or Israel or anyone, they were going to respond against the United States. The orders had been delegated down to the field commanders. It was automatic, and in fact, it bear to be true because, in fact, within an hour of the initial...
I want to play that part one more time because that's the part we're going to focus on. I'm going to go back a little bit, and I want the viewers that are watching this to pay attention to what he just said with your logical brain. I want you to pay attention to what he just said.
Anyone, the United States or Israel or anyone, they were going to respond against the United States. The orders had been delegated down to the field commanders. It was automatic, and in fact, it bear to be true. Pentagon and the Department of War to discuss the tactics behind that and the progress that's being made. That is the clear objective of this mission. The second question that's been asked is, why now? Well, there's two reasons why now. The first is it was abundantly clear that if Iran came under attack by anyone, the United States or Israel or anyone, they were going to respond against the United States. The orders had been delegated down to the field commanders. It was automatic, and in fact, it bear to be true because, in fact, the
So he's saying here, and again, correct me if I'm misinterpreting this, but I'm pretty sure that I'm not. He's saying reason number one that we attacked Iran is because if they got attacked, they were going to respond. So then you attacked.
Yes.
So then they responded.
So
Am I following so far?
You're exactly right, because they've talked about this for a couple of weeks now, that we did the preemptive strike because we thought they were going to do a preemptive strike. So we beat them to it. That's
and then they struck after.
Yes. And then if someone attacked Iran outside of the United States and Israel,
who was going to attack
there's
them?
nobody in the world that's attacking Iran.
It was Israel.
Nobody.
No, it was Israel.
Yeah.
It was not us, or again, it was going to be Israel.
He
so
said
then we
in a
did it.
different interview that we attacked because Israel said they were.
I'm pretty sure
themselves.
I'm pretty sure it's
I
in
don't
the,
know if it's in this one, but it's a different. It might be a different one.
Okay,
Maybe
let's
it's the one where he's wearing the big shoes that don't fit. But
let's keep watching.
So.
within an hour of the initial attack on the leadership compound, the missile forces in the south and in the north, for that matter, had already been activated to launch. In fact, those had already been pre-positioned. The third is the assessment that was made that if we stood and waited for that attack to come first before we hit them, we would suffer much higher casualties. And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties.
Yeah, that's him. He said it. He just said it. He said we knew Israel was going to attack. So instead of Israel attacking and then getting attacked back, we attacked to justify them attacking us back. So we didn't let it play out. This whole preemptive attack thing is just ridiculous. Like, you knew that Israel was going to attack because Israel told you, and you said, "Nope, we got this. Hold our beer." So we did it because we knew they were going to attack us back. So it almost seems like they did it to justify Iran hitting us. Because if Iran just hits us without us involved, then what? We look bad. So we have to hit them first.
They were shocked. They were shocked to find out that Iran would attack us. And it just like, and again, I'm not a fan of Iran. I'm not
Same.
I'm not like whatever. But I'm not a fan of Israel though. And I feel like this was Israel said we're going to do it, and we just do whatever Israel says. There's only two times in my life that I can remember anyone telling Israel to stop. And that was Reagan and Obama. Those are the only two times that anybody ever told them. Maybe Carter at some point tried to, and they just ignored him. But like Reagan used to tell Israel to stop it, especially after the Beirut attack. And then also Obama did some stuff with Israel too that kept Israel from doing some shit. Like those are the only two. Because Biden was as bad with letting Israel do whatever he wanted as Trump is. Like,
All right, let's let Rubio finish out.
And perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act. Going back to the purpose. The purpose of this is to destroy that missile capability. Why does Iran want that ballistic missile capability? What they are trying to do and have been trying to do for a very long time is build a conventional weapons capability as a shield where they can hide behind it. Meaning, there would come a point where they have so many conventional missiles, so many drones, and it can inflict so much damage that no one can do anything about their nuclear program. That is what they were trying to do, is put themselves in a place of immunity where the damage they can inflict on the region would be so high that no one can do anything about their nuclear program or their nuclear ambitions. They are producing, by some estimates, over 100 of these missiles a month. Compare that to the 6 or 7 interceptors that can be built a month. They can build 100 of these a month, not to mention the thousands of one-way attack drones that they also have. They've been doing this for a very long time, and by the way, they've been doing it under sanction. You see the attacks they're conducting?
All right, hold on. I'm not the political guy, and I don't claim to be the smartest guy in the room. But if they're building 1,000 missiles, and they've been doing it for a long time, why did we wait until now? And why? And the next question is, why haven't they been using them if they've been doing this for so long? That seems like
there are
not.
aspects of what
There's
he's
no
saying
way that can logically be true.
Yeah, there are some aspects of that. Iran for 20 years has been anticipating that Israel was going to get to a point where it was going to be now or never. And there's a lot of like people online talking about that. Like Israel decided, Netanyahu specifically, that it's all or nothing. We're going to go for it now because they screwed up the whole Palestinian thing. They have never been less popular as a nation in their history than they are right now.
With us, for sure.
With especially within the United States. And
Absolutely.
I think they see the writing on the wall that if they were going to, eventually what's going to happen is they're not going to continue, because if people really knew the amount of money that we give to Israel and the amount of money that people from Israel give to our politicians.
Funnels. It's funnel. It's a big funnel.
Yes.
It's an enormous funnel.
They have, like we talk about, we don't want to have universal health care. Well, Israel has universal health care. You know? If you're against universal health care, but you think Israel's so great, well, why does Israel have? Why does Israel not have to pay? Why do their citizens not have to pay for health care? Partially, they have the money because we give them things. We just give them, and again, I don't think Israel deserves the right to exist. No one thinks Israel should be wiped off the map.
100%.
But,
of course.
but nobody else should be wiped off the map either. And that's what Israel's attacking Lebanon. I don't understand
here's my beef, and this is the stuff that probably gets me canceled. And
right.
I'm really could care less at this point. This and I'm arguing with people that I like that are have descent from Israel. They're Jewish, whatever the case may be. And the problem that I have is when you criticize the government of Israel or the religion for the way that they believe certain things, which I do with, listen, and I said this yesterday. I grew up Catholic. I was an altar boy. You won't find somebody that criticizes Catholicism more than I do. And my entire family's Catholic. You won't find somebody that picks apart Catholicism more than me. But I don't hate Catholics. I don't hate the people. It doesn't make me anti-Catholic people, right? So when I criticize the state of Israel's government or things that we're told that their religion believes that contradicts some other things, I'm called an anti-Semite. Right. Like I'm some like Hitler Holocaust person. Like I believe that Jews should be killed. Like it's absolutely, and I'm going to say this because I feel like it needs to be said. It's absolutely a cop-out to people that don't understand the art of debating and can't meticulously prove with any undeniable doubt what their point is. So because they can't do that, they have to call you an anti-Semite because they feel and believe what they do, and they don't like somebody attacking their belief, which is fine. I don't like when people attack my belief system, but I'll defend it, and I won't call them anti-whatever. We'll just have a good debate about it. And you can feel how you feel, and I'll feel how I feel without like saying that you want to eradicate an entire race of people because you think differently than they do. That's the problem that I have. You're not allowed to attack or debate with an ideology like Muslims. And again, I have problems with Islam and Muslim religion as well. I'm not going to defend that either. But the fact that you're like, it's accepted that you can just say that Muslims want to kill everybody and the Muslim is a radical religion. Like there's no more radical religion than Catholicism. Right. And I was arguing with somebody who was Jewish yesterday and they were thinking that I was like anti-Jew. Like nobody's killed more people than Catholics. Right. I grew up Catholic and my mother will probably like have a heart attack when she watches this, but like,
you're right.
There's no religion that's killed more people than Catholics.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, let's get that all out of the way. But like the fact that it's like, it has to be accepted that Muslims are doing the most damage across the planet. Like they got a lot of work to do to catch up to Catholics, right? A lot of work to do to catch up to Catholics. But you can't deny that the United States of America is being run statistically by people of Jewish descent. And we have this relationship with the country of Israel that at the very least we're seeing as problematic. And here we are in bed with them, fighting a conflict or a war, whatever you want to call it. and it looks sketchy, and we should be allowed to question it. And it doesn't make you anti-Jewish or anti-Judaism. It's just we can ask questions and give us some good answers.
The constant. This chimes into what you're saying. This constant talk about Israel, like it's Israel in the Bible, like what's his name? Who's the guy who was governor of Arkansas? That's our ambassador to Israel.
Is it Richardson?
No. The guy was governor of Arkansas. He ran for president. He's a reverend. Yeah, but anyway, but he talks about it's a biblical right, a biblical this, a biblical that. Like they're not. This is not the Israel from the Bible. It's not. This is not the same. This is a country that was named that. It'd be like if the United States just called themselves Christian land. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's there just because they chose that name. And then they have name recognition in the Bible because they talk about Israel in the Bible. It's not the same thing. It's just not. And I'm anti-Israel in the sense that I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm not. But I don't think that you can argue what Netanyahu is trying to accomplish has anything to do with the Jewish faith. It just doesn't. I mean, what they've done in Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, Iran, and again, I don't like Iran. I don't like Hezbollah. I don't like these organizations, but these organizations have grown because of the way these things have happened. It's like you create Israel wants, to some extent, Israel has wanted to create this group of people that hate them so that they can kill them. It gives them an excuse at times. And that's probably something I'll probably get canceled for. But there's enough history where you can read about it. And I think I have a bit of a point.
So I'm looking up because it was brought to my attention. Because again, I'm not a religious. I know a lot about Catholicism because of the way I grew up, but I don't about Islam or Judaism.
A nice comment by there.
Do you want to read them?
Robert Casey writes, "As you can disagree with crazy or you're crazy. It's wild."
Yeah.
And then he also said, Troy gave us a nice, thumbs up. And then Casey also said, 100% well said, needs to be said. Obviously, that's in reference to you.
Yeah. And again, I understand because I'm self-aware. Sometimes I come off I know more than I probably do know. I recognize that character flaw. I'm well aware of that. And I know that sometimes in print, it definitely comes off that way. And I'm sure on the podcast when people watch this, I don't know everything. I'm trying to learn. And it was brought to my attention yesterday by somebody I really like who was calling me anti-Semite. And I'm not going to say I was offended because I can't be offended by the way I can't make somebody feel a certain way. That person felt the way that they felt based on the conversation that we were having. I tried to emphasize that I have no problem with the religion. I have no problem with her. I have no problem with Jews. I just have a problem with my country caring more about another country than this one. We're not America first. We're involved in a conflict that's lost American lives, that's costing us real dollars right now, not just at the gas tank. Everybody wants to point to gas. And again, I'll say what I said last week, even showing gas prices. We are so much lower than where we should be. Gas should be over $10 a gallon based on everything else in inflation. We're still sitting in the same 20-year range that we've been in. And even if gas went to $5, we can't complain about it. It's a talking point, but it's not worth complaining. But in other aspects of life, things are going to get worse because when gas does go up, things that have already gone up, like food, like goods and services that did get affected by the COVID stimulus, when gas goes up, it affects that stuff. It's not gas that's the problem. It's everything that gas transports that will make prices higher. People get caught up in the wrong conversations. Gas going up to $3.71 in and of itself is not problematic. The problem that gas is going up, it's going to cost other things that have 5 or 10x in the last 5 to 20 years to keep going up. That's where the problem is.
Well, your food costs are going to go up because
food costs are going to go up. Your lumber costs are going to go up. Your services costs are going to go up.
Not just the transport. Oil is used in fertilizers, so fertilizer is going to go up. And people are like, "But we don't get our oil from them." Then you just Google what a commodity is. Google what demand is. It doesn't matter if we had our own well and we never had to. If we had our own well and we had never dealt with any of these countries, maybe we wouldn't have all these problems. That's why I'm a big fan of like alternative fuels because I don't want to have to deal with all these crazy people. I just want to like turn some windmills and have some solar panels and do geothermal and do a bunch of things that we could do ourselves, and we would not have to be like dealing with all this craziness all the time.
So back to what I was talking in regards to what I was put on yesterday. The term that gets tossed around that people have problems with when it comes to the Judaism religion is when people talk about Judaism and Jews being the chosen people, God's chosen people. And that's problematic for people. And I'm going to admit, up until yesterday and today, I really didn't completely comprehend what that meant. I was viewing it as one certain way. And when I do the AI overview, this is a much clearer explanation. And it's actually one that I actually can get down with. It says, in Judaism, the chosen people refers to the theological covenant established between God and the Israelites, where the Jewish people were selected to receive the Torah, which is like their Bible, right? Or their Quran, and uphold its laws, acting as a light to the nations. This concept emphasizes responsibility, duty, and spiritual mission over superiority. And then it says purpose, not superiority. Being chosen means having the responsibility to follow God's laws, maintain a high ethical standard, spread the knowledge of God. The covenant, a mutual agreement where Jews accept the responsibility of Torah in exchange for divine protection and relationship. All that is fine. My problem with religion, not just Judaism, with Catholicism, with Islam, with all religions, is the fact that more blood has been shed over disagreements with religion than anything else in history. And you can't tell me in a clear conscience that what's going on between Israel and Iran doesn't have some roots in disagreements in religion. You would just be lying to yourself if you couldn't. Now, again, it doesn't mean that there aren't other things at play. It doesn't mean that the weapons and the missiles and all that stuff can be true. But the fact that there's two distinctly different religions and they believe two distinctly different things, that doesn't play in that conflict. Am I wrong, Rich? Am I wrong to think that?
You think about it. I mean, like there's these disagreements over religion. My mic, because I keep coughing. These disagreements over religion go back, thousands of years,
right?
of years. Think of the fall of the Roman Empire. All that stuff. Like, I know enough about history to know that the Crusades. Think about all that stuff. Like, and again, there's no country that's perfect. There's no country doesn't have dirty hands, so that hasn't done some terrible things. There's no religion that hasn't done some terrible things. But I mean, we do these things in the guise of Christianity or Judaism. We have to fight this holy war. You hear these types of things all the time, and there is a definite within our military right now, a very religious component. You look the way Hagsmith talks and the way he, some of his spiritual advisors that he's brought in to talk to things, and they talk about Trump. I mean, these are reported that Trump, that he's on a mission from God, like the Blues Brothers movie, like he's on a mission from God or whatever. That we're hearing these things. I don't know if they're accurate, but I've never heard these things before. So I think there's some of it's got to be true. I mean, it's not all a lie. It's not all fake news.
I think, in 2026, in this time that we're living in, religion and politics have become weapons. More dangerous than a gun or a sword, in my humble opinion. Religion is man-made. Like, people need to understand that. There's so many of them. God didn't create them all. He's not out here trying to create division, in my opinion. I mean, if you believe that there's a God, you have to believe that he's a loving God. So why would he create different versions that don't agree with each other? So on some level, if you want to subscribe to the fact that one is real and all the rest are not, then 99% of them were man-made.
Right.
Which ones? I don't know. All of them, right? Every single book, the Torah, the Quran, the Bible, were written by man through the word of God, if you believe it, but in essence, written by man. So have flaws. of man because man is flawed. So, I tell you a story, Rich, and you tell somebody else a story. It's going to be different than how I told it to you. So like everything isn't like, as pun intended, gospel. Like you have to understand that like these things are man-made concepts, and religion and politics right now, man, are getting a lot of people killed, are getting a lot of people hurt, and it's costing us a shit ton of money. Absolute shit ton of money.
Well, like it's funny because we can, and again, this is the money is driving all of this, and it's
the
just,
debt-based Ponzi scheme of the United States
and
dollar.
and it's again, and we rally the sword, because that type of thing, and we get everybody, because of this, and they the Quran says they have to kill all the whatever the infidels and all that stuff. But it's funny because the Quran actually,
but does it?
The Quran actually says that Jesus,
when you AI
was the prophet,
when you AI it, it's not true.
There are extremists in the Muslim faith. Obviously, 9/11. There's extremists in the Christian faith. There's extremists in the Jewish faith. There's extremists in the Buddhist. There's extremists in every single religion. There always have been. And it's, again, unfortunately, sometimes these extremists are able to take power, and they take things that are literal and then they turn them into, and then they get enough people that are uneducated or just disenfranchised with their own lives or country or whatever it might be to follow these people. I mean, that's how Hitler rose to power. Like, just that type of thing. Like we have to make Germany for Germans, like that type of thing. That's where it all started. That and that led to using religion as a weapon.
The Catholic religion documented. It's documented. This isn't made up. This isn't conjecture. This is fact. The Catholic religion hid pedophilia for decades, shifting priests around. It was a huge story that I think it was like the Boston Globe ended up ripping it open when finding out like what was really happening with the Catholic Church in America, literally knowing that priests were raping children and allowing them to continue to be priests.
Yeah.
Like that's a known thing. So you want to say that like Islam's a dangerous religion? I don't know anything more dangerous than a religion that protects pedophiles. And apparently in the United States of America, protecting pedophiles is a thing because that's what we do in this country. Epstein files.
And I feel bad for the people that are, I mean, I know a lot of my mother and a lot of people that are very devout Catholics.
Of course.
And they're very horrified by what happened with the priests.
The same with the Muslims that are horrified by the guys that ran into the trade centers in 9/11.
Right.
Just because Muslims did that doesn't mean that every Muslim believed that the tower should have came down.
But I mean,
same thing.
And that's the thing. Like we were mad. We wanted Muslims to come out and say this about blah, blah, blah. And I wish more Catholics would come out and really like practicing Catholics, not people that just like me that go to church occasionally and call ourselves Catholic.
Right.
The people that actually go to church every Sunday, they should have been demanding from the Catholic Church a lot of this nonsense to stop. And we went way off. I'm sorry.
Every Jew doesn't back Netanyahu.
Right. No,
nor should they.
In this country. I mean, I went
even in Israel. I've seen videos of people in Israel saying they don't back him.
Back
what he's doing and what he thinks.
A month after the October 7th.
Yep.
My son and I actually went to a protest, and he wanted to go to this protest in Washington D.C. It was about a month later, and he wanted to go to protest, and we went. And all these people got up and spoke, and it was too many people got up and spoke. There was hundreds and hundreds of people that went up and spoke, and we ended up doing this big march around the city and all. So it was very cool. It was a cool, interesting event. But there were Orthodox Jews. There were every sect of types of Jewish people were there. There were Native Americans there. There was it was very religious people there. Tons of very religious people. And a lot of them were Jewish. A lot of them were people that were Jewish. They're saying that we shouldn't be doing this. They're saying, we respect Israel's right to exist, but we don't look at Israel as they're not in charge of, they're not like the Vatican. They're not in charge of the Jewish faith.
Look at this tweet that I got up here because this tweet encompasses my social media experience currently. One thing is becoming perfectly clear. I don't trust anything we're being told. That's where I'm at. I don't know what's true and what's false. I don't know what's co-opted. I don't know where I think it's rather frightening that I can't tell you with 100% certainty that any of the places I get my information from are not co-opted. And I'm talking about AI. I'm talking about no idea. I have no idea.
No, you're right.
And I think where I'm getting my
You're
information is
totally right.
good, but I'm not like, I have like my good friends have this like idea of like, and again, I'm not saying that America's not a great country, but besides Canada, I've never been anywhere else. I can't tell you how it is in the Middle East because I've never been there. I only know what other people tell me or what the narrative is. And I've learned in my almost 48 years that almost every narrative I've been told almost my entire life is complete and utter bullshit. So I don't know how it really is over there. I don't know how it is in these other countries. I don't know if we're the best. I just know that America is my team and I always want my team to be the best. Yeah. And sometimes my team that I like isn't the best, but I still pretend they are. So are we pretending or are we really the best? I don't know.
We should, if we really
I know that we're not
believe
the only free nation and we seem to say that we are. And I know that's not
If
true.
we believe in this country and that we want this country to be this perfect nation and all this stuff, it was what it's supposed to be, then we have to be willing to accept when we make mistakes, whether it's now, whether it's World War II, whether it's we did Japanese internment camps, whatever it is, slavery, whatever it is. We've made some terrible, terrible, terrible mistakes. And there are still people in this country that never want, well, we're still, it's the old joke, democracy is the worst form of government besides all the others. Like it's it's very flawed, but it's still the best one. Whether it's our system or another country that has a democracy, I wish that I wish our country had the ability to get rid of some of these corrupt politicians a lot easier than it is like in some of the other countries. Like some of the European nations, and I realize they're much smaller countries, but France and Italy and UK and Belgium, they regularly throw out elected officials, presidents, prime ministers, whatever it is. They get kicked out pretty regularly because of the way the system is to make sure that one person within that country isn't too powerful. That's where we've gotten. And I don't even just mean the president. I mean, we have senators that are way too powerful, like whether it's Elizabeth Warren or Ted Cruz. Like we have people in this country that are elected, but they haven't worked for the people in years.
Can you highlight Dan's comment? I see Dan commented something, but I can't. That's too far away for me to read it.
Yeah, Dan's like, it's not perfect. Well, he has two.
Okay.
Dan's first one is it's like the WWE. We were the good guys and now we're the heels. And then it's and wrestling is very close. And it's like, and then the other one was, yep, it's not perfect, but still the best. And I agree. I've been to a bunch of other countries. I've been all over.
You can speak.
I've been here. I have friends in other countries. I've had complex conversations with people from other countries when I always love to engage in the guy that's running the Airbnb that I stay in when I was in Napoli. Well, I'm ordering a pizza. I learned a lot, especially when I was in Italy and France and in UK. Those are the three countries I really got to know. And then I actually met some people some teachers from Germany several years ago. They're from Dortmund. And we've had really, really cool conversations. The German teachers are the funniest. If there's any country that knows they've kind of been bad at times, it's Germany. But they still don't think they're great now. But they're trying to be a better nation. They're trying to be, and none of those countries are perfect. The way they treat immigrants is poor. But again, no one's saying their countries are better than ours. I'm just saying that we're all flawed, and we should be accepting that we have flaws, and we should be trying to make it better, and not just accept our country's going to get better on faith. Don't trust, verify, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to end the podcast with this Jeff Booth tweet. It's a multi-tweet, but it's really good. And Jeff Booth is just dynamite when it comes to follows on X. If you're not following Jeff Booth and you're a Bitcoiner, you're slacking. Throughout history, currency debasement has been a tool for governments to manage debt, often at the expense of citizens' purchasing power. But what if there was a way to break this cycle? Enter Bitcoin. Let's explore how it changes the game. Currency debasement isn't new. From Roman times to Weimar Germany, rulers have diluted the value of money to pay off debts. This erodes savings and increases inequality as asset holders benefit while laborers suffer. Today, central banks inflate currencies to keep the debt system afloat, creating a hidden tax on our future. Every dollar printed is a claim on tomorrow's labor. This isn't sustainable. Here's where Bitcoin steps in. As a decentralized, fixed supply protocol, it offers an alternative to the endless cycle of debasement. With only 21 million ever to exist, Bitcoin is inherently deflationary. It rewards savers, not debtors. Think of Bitcoin as the TCP/IP of money. Just as the internet democratized information, Bitcoin democratizes financial value. It's a global, neutral, monetary base layer that can't be manipulated by any single entity. Critics argue that Bitcoin is volatile and untested, but consider, what if the volatility we see is the fiat system unwinding its distortions? Bitcoin provides a transparent, predictable monetary policy in stark contrast to fiat uncertainty. As technology advances, the natural state of free markets is deflationary. Yet our current system fights this. Bitcoin aligns with technological progress, offering a path to an abundant future where savings grow in real terms. In a world where currency debasement is the norm, Bitcoin stands out as a pillar of financial sovereignty. Embrace it, build on it, and advocate for a future where money is sound and savings are secure. It's time to rethink what we accept as normal. I'll end with this thought. I think the Bitcoin experiment, which is in its 17th year at this point, has been profound. I think many people have come and gone. I think people have found it, stuck around for a bit, left, sometimes come back, sometimes not come back. But I think that the modern man of this era just truly doesn't understand money to a level that can get them to a place where this thing's going to happen quickly. I truly believe Bitcoin's going to change the complete monetary system. With all my heart, I believe that's going to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen as quick as many people want it to, because people just don't understand money. They don't understand the system of finance. They don't know why they need Bitcoin. If you don't know why you need Bitcoin, then you're not going to hold it. Eventually that'll change. And unfortunately, that change is going to come very, very late for people that probably saw it, heard it, and maybe even held it at some point in time. But the change will come because the system will break. It's not sustainable. The debt-based Ponzi scheme of the US dollar and the kicking the can down the road can only last so long. Eventually, people will seek sound money once again. And Bitcoin is everything that gold is and was and will be for the future of money on the internet. As always, for the 127th time, thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Please like. Please share. Please comment. Hang out with us every Monday at 6:30. Now more than ever, don't trust, verify. Peace.